Hello, welcome again. So, today's topic for the introductory videos is that we'll discuss the nervous system. That, guys, I will happy to tell you that now I will start a series of the lectures for our nervous system. As nervous system, it's a very vast topic. There are lots of things happening in this area, and there are lots to this, a lot of things we have to discuss. So we can do it easily. There's nothing difficult if we try it. So this is our nervous system. So today we'll discuss this briefly, shortly, just the idea about the nervous system. Next week I'm gonna, from the next week, I will be regularly uploading the every week by week the videos for the topics in the deep videos. As of now, this will be a short descriptive video that about our nervous system, that how the nervous system actually works and what it is, and the whole idea about. Hope you understand about this video. So let's just discuss that what is our nervous system. So nervous system, it is like the CPU of a computer, right? As we have a computer, we have a CPU, right? So this is the CPU of our whole body. The whole body depends on the central I always messed up the nervous system as central nervous system. The central nervous system is the part of a nervous system. Nervous system is the big giant, right? So the nervous system, the body is dependent on the nervous system, right? Whole body is dependent on the nervous system. Without nervous system, we cannot even actually know that there is the existence of a human or not, right? So that is the importance of the nervous system. Our brain, it just help us to analyze the things to write, to speak, but all these things are, just we are the things. There are a lot of unknown facts about our nervous system. So nervous system is quite important. So let's just discuss about our nervous system. We have a central nervous system, and then we have a peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system is like the core of our nervous system, right? It comprises our brain and spinal cord. These are very important structures. As brain, it is the master of all glands, all organs of the body. And spinal cord is like its assistant. Spinal cord just sends the signals to the brain, and in response to that, it just work in assistance of the brain, right? As we have the peripheral nervous system. What is the peripheral nervous system? It is a system which originates from the central nervous system. For example, these are the nerves which originates from the central nervous system. What does it mean actually? For example, there are a lot of brain nerves which originate from the brain. There are 12 pairs of nerves which originate from the brain. So these are the nerves. These are the 12 pairs, or I can say that 24 nerves which correspond to our peripheral nervous system. The peripheral nervous system is that system which actually receives the signal and send to the master organ, that is our brain. And then the master organ, the brain, will analyze it, it will process it, and it sends the signal back to that nerve, and in that response, what is the stimulus? It will act. For example, if a needle will pierce on my hand, then what will happen? The signal will come from my peripheral nervous system to my spinal cord, and then from there to my brain, and brain will process it and then sends the command to just withdraw my hand. So these are the things which comes under the peripheral nervous system. As hence we can say that the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, they both are interdependent on each other. Because if we have no central nervous system, just assume that either if we can sense the stimulus but we cannot process it, right? Or vice versa, if we have no peripheral nervous system, yes, we have the capability to sense the stimulus but we cannot receive the stimulus. So both of these things are very important. As a concern for our peripheral nervous system, they have a lot of nerves. For example, we have nerves which originate from the cervical region of the spinal cord. There are eight pairs of nerves, and we call them the cervical nerves. They're the part of peripheral nervous system. Also, we have the thoracic nerves, we have the lumbar, we have the sacral. Also, we have one pair of coccygeal nerve. So these are the nerves, and these are the nerves which innervate the visceral organs, also the skeletal muscles, including the bones also. So these That's why the central nervous system, it has a very big dependency on the peripheral nervous system, as we have discussed. And now the thing that actually is important, that yes, we have a brain, we have a spinal cord, we have the peripheral nervous system, everything is just uh, set up, but what is the functional unit, how the brain actually functions, on which thing? So that answer to is that yes, you're right, that is our neuron. So neuron is the basic fundamental, the functional unit of our nervous system. So neuron is such thing that is very important for the transmission of the signals. For example, as we took the similar example, when someone pierces my this hand, yes, the signal will transmit from the peripheral nervous system, but through which thing? Through the neurons. There are a lot of neurons which make our brain. There are a lot of neurons which make spinal cord, and actually there is the big neurons which makes our nerves. So that's why neuron, we have said that it is our functional unit of the nervous system. As how the and now the thing that how actually the brain works. It works on when something is happening surrounding the thing. For example, if there is a dog that is ready to bite me, right? So I can sense that fear. I can feel that fear, that how can I will be fear from a dog, from my eyes. Also the dog will bark at me, so I can hear that. So on the basis of this data, my brain will calculate the thing that either you just fight or you just flight, and in such case, personally, I would just fly off. All right. So these are the function of brain, but the important thing is that how the signal actually is sensed. For example, there is a hot stove and I touch it accidentally, then I have to withdraw my hand. So how these signals are actually passes to the brain? These are passes from the nervous system, from the neurons, but in the form of action potential. As there are billions of neurons in our central nervous system, the thousands of connection from one neuron to each other. There, for example, one neuron is in connection with the 10,000 neurons, and there are billion of neurons, there are 100 billion neurons. This is a big amount of number. So the stimulus is transferred in the form of action potential. We'll discuss that later for sure. And from the peripheral nervous system, the peripheral nervous system has two main functions: the motor function and the sensory function. What are these? The sensory function are these. As the name tells us, the sensory means the sense. For example, when something hits on me, for example, when I'm walking and I just fell down, I just injured my knee, then the action will go to my brain. These are the sensory things. I've touched a hot stove, a needle is pierced to me, dog has bitten me. So these are the sensory things. The first action what our peripheral nervous system, what our nervous system takes, that the sensory thing, and this happens from the sensory neuron. The sensory neuron is then connected to our spinal cord from the peripheral nervous system, from the spinal cord, and then it transfer to the signal to our brain. And from the brain, there we have the motor neuron, right? So there we have a sensory neuron which goes to our brain, and then actually we have a intermediate, or we have a interneuron which connects the sensory neuron with the motor neuron. So the sensory signal come, and the interneuron, by the action of interneuron, it just the sensory signal comes in and it gets to the brain, and there we have also interneuron which connects both the neurons, and then the action also occur, and by our motor neuron. And these are the things. That's why I've said that peripheral nervous system and central nervous system, they're independent on each other, because without any of them we couldn't make to the actual human existence, I can say that, right? Also, we have a lot of topics. For example, we have a lot of classification also for neuron. We'll discuss that later, because this is just an introductory video for the whole nervous system, not for just our neuron, the introductory video for neuron, the whole nervous system. So we have cranial nerves, we have we have spinal nerves, which comprise of peripheral nervous system. We have central nervous system, which mainly of our brain and our spinal cord, right? And also one more thing, peripheral nervous system, as we have categorized it, it has the motor and the sensory thing, the same motor and the sensory business. What comes in sensory now? If we say that yes, we have sensory, what comes in sensory? Sensory is also like of two kind of thing, right? We have a specific sensory and just general sensory, right? In specific sensory, I have specific sensory organs. For example, I can see through my eyes that that dog will surely gonna bite me, right? I can hear from my ears that that dog is in a very angry mood and he'll surely gonna bite me, right? And I can taste, for example, if there is a tasty food, I can taste that food only by my tongue, not by my hand or my skin, right? So these are my specific sensory organs, right? We have the nose. I can only sense that delicious food from the restaurant, that only from my nose, right? So these are my specific sensory organs. And the general sensory organs, we have throughout the whole body. We have the skin, right? We can sense the touch or the pain, the temperature, the pressure from our general sensory. So the category is like finished here. And then we have we have specific, as I've mentioned, we have specific sensory organs and we have in general. This come under the classification of our peripheral nervous system, right? Wait. Okay, let's continue now. So here we are, the peripheral nervous system, the motor, and the sensory. We have completed the sensory, the basic introductory thing, that we have specific sensory and we have general sensory. Now comes the motor. So what does the motor mean? For example, I have action, then we must have a reaction. So the sensory means we have an action, and then the reaction means that we have a motor function via motor neuron, right? The neuron stuff, the action potential, right? All such things. So it form our motor region, and it is also of different type. For example, the motor function, it is of two types, voluntary and involuntary. What does it actually mean? Motor voluntary function means that I can control my hands, I can control my skeletal muscles, right? This is our involuntary action. For example, I have to just have to run, for that is under control my will, my will. If I want to run, then I can run. But if I don't want to run my heart, for example, if I don't want to beat my heart, or I want my heartbeat to increase, it is not in my will. So this system, right, which control our involuntary organs. For example, we have our gastrointestinal tract. I cannot control the process of my digestion. For example, if I ate chicken, a delicious chicken last night, I cannot just order my brain and just send a signal to my brain on my under control will that the next morning you please digest all that protein stuff. It is not in my will. But what is in my will, that yes, I can wake up early in the morning and just exercise to digest that chicken, right? So what I'm here to mean that we have motor functions. Motor functions, these are of two types. We have voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary means that thing which are in our control, and that is our skeletal system, right? We can that is our skeletal system, which is like our locomotory organ, right? Skeletal muscles, these are our under control. But the things which are not in our control, these are our smooth muscles. For example, in GIT or in we have the urinary system, we have the smooth muscles, right? And then we have the cardiac muscle, the